Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vishal Rajput from Himalayan School of Biosciences in Swami Rama Himalayan University, Dehradun. And my today's topic is phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus cycle is a biogeochemical process that involves the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. As I have already mentioned in my previous lectures that biogeochemical cycle is all about the cyclic movement of nutrient from one environment to another environment or from one biosphere to another biosphere. Especially that one reservoir must be present in any biosphere. It could be aquatic or it could be atmospheric, and this reservoir keep infusing or releasing and as well as the adding the nutrient, and this is the whole sequence of the particular cycle. In phosphorus cycle, we will talk about the movement of phosphorus molecule from one environment to another environment and how it get interchanged. First of all, the importance of phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is an essential nutrient found in the macromolecule of the humans and other organisms, including the DNA. So, as you can understand the importance of the phosphorus, it is present in the DNA, and DNA is the soul or the fundamental object of the life. Basically, DNA is the everything in the life and phosphorus is a part of the DNA. So, you can understand that proper or balanced movement of phosphorus cycle is highly crucial. The phosphorus cycle is slow, and most phosphorus in nature exists in the form of the phosphate ion. So, basically it is also it is not available in an active form and it must be changed or convert into the active form. Basically, phosphorus is often a limiting nutrient or nutrient that is most scarce and thus limit the growth, especially in the aquatic condition ecosystem as well as in the terrestrial ecosystem. So, you can understand that phosphorus can retard, slow, seize or paralyze the development as well as the growth. It doesn't matter how much quantity is required, but it is essential for the survival of the life. Here it is a pictorial description of phosphorus cycle and how the phosphorus is moving from one biosphere to another biosphere. As I have already mentioned that that one reservoir must be present in the ecosystem, and here the reservoir of phosphorus is present in the lithosphere or the soil. Here you can see it is in the oval shape of structure. I have mentioned it over here. Here one more thing which must be considered, which is known as the component input to soil and loss from the soil. Here you can see three different colored boxes are here and they are interconnected. Green one are the components, and what they are doing, they are interchanging the form of the phosphorus from one to another form. Next one, blue one, is input to the soil, how that phosphorus is being added by human activity as well as the natural activity, and they are being added to the lithosphere. Next is loss from soil, how the phosphorus is being taken away from the soil or the lithosphere and how it is being utilized by other components. So, it is all about the outflow and the inflow of the phosphorus described by the or elaborated by the different components. Here you can see that reservoir is present in lithosphere and it is being interconnected with the organic phosphorus. Here microbial, plant residue and humus, what they are doing, it is another form of the phosphorus and it is being converted with the help of the immobilization as well as the mineralization. Here another form is mineral surfaces like clays, iron, aluminum oxide. What they are doing, carbonates, what they are doing, they are also interchanging in the form of the phosphorus with the help of the desorption and the absorption. Next is secondary compounds. Secondary compounds are the combination of compound like calcium phosphorus and iron phosphorus. How they are coming in the existence? Because of the dissolution and the precipitation, and this is how the interchange is going on between these two components. Apart from that, plants are also adding phosphorus to the environment with the help of in the form of the crop harvesting. So what it is doing, this phosphorus is being accumulated in the plants, and finally in the form of the harvesting, this phosphorus is taken away from the soil. There is one more form of the loss of the phosphorus from the reservoir is known as the plant uptake. Well, all the planted or rooted plants, what they do, they uptake the phosphorus from the soil and they accumulate in their body. Apart from that, leaching is another process by which phosphorus is being lost by the soil. So this is how this whole process takes place. Now come to the detail of particular activity. First of all, the steps of the phosphorus cycle. There are multiple steps involved in the phosphorus cycle or the movement of the phosphorus from one component to another component. Number 1, weathering. Number 2, absorption by plants. Number 3, absorption by animals. And the last, return to the environment through the decomposition. Here you can see a cyclic movement. What is happening? Weathering is all about the releasing of phosphorus from one environment to another environment, or from one biosphere to another biosphere. Further, absorption by plant and animal, what they are doing? They are uptaking this particular phosphorus which has been released with the help of the weathering. But later on, after the death of the animal as well as the plant, that phosphorus is being released in the form of the leaching and ultimately returned to the final first destination or the lithosphere, and that takes place because of the decomposition. Now first of all, weathering. Phosphorus is found in the rocks in huge amount, but it remains trapped. This is why phosphorus cycle starts in the earth crust. Basically it starts from the earth crust or from the lithosphere. The phosphate salts are broken down from the rocks, and these salts are washed away into ground where they mix in the soil. So this is the first step where that phosphorus is being released and finally reaching to the soil for the further movement of the phosphorus cycle. Next is absorption by plants. The phosphate salts dissolve in water and are absorbed by plants. However, the amount of phosphorus present in soil is very less. That is why farmers apply phosphate fertilizers on agriculture land, and which ultimately added some extra phosphorus to the lithosphere. The aquatic plants absorb inorganic phosphorus from lower layer of the water body because it also found over there, and since phosphate salts do not dissolve in water properly, they can affect the plant growth. Next is absorption by animals. In this step, the animals absorb phosphorus from plants and by consuming plant eating animals. So basically it's about the food chain. What is happening? That primary producers are absorbing the phosphorus or the plant, and what they are doing, they are transferring phosphorus to the herbivores. And when the carnivores are eating the herbivores, what they are doing, the herbivores are transferring phosphorus to the carnivores. So now the phosphorus has entered to the food chain, and once any element enters in a particular food chain, it will evenly distribute in food web, throughout the food web. Next is return of phosphorus to the ecosystem. When the plants and the animals die, they are decomposed by microorganisms. During this process, the organic form of phosphorus is converted into the inorganic form, which is recycled to the soil and water. soil and water will end up in the sediments and rocks, which will again release phosphorus by weathering. So this is how the phosphorus cycle starts over. So basically it's a starting point, or you can say it's a termination point, whatever you can call it, but everything keeps revolving around it, or starting from it or ending from it. So basically what is happening, the soil phosphorus is accumulated by the plants, being transferred to the plant eating animals, then later on transferred to the flesh eating animals, and finally it is entering to the various aspects of the food web, where every animal, every herbivorous, every carnivorous is receiving phosphorus from the previous biosphere. But every animal, every aspect has one destiny. What? It will someday die and decompose. And due to the decomposition, all the phosphorus which has been stored in the body of the plant or the organism, it will be released and returned to the ecosystem. So here a cyclic movement is present in the term of the phosphorus. Further, some other factors are associated with the movement of phosphorus, such as sedimentation. Over a long period, some phosphate in the soil may be washed into rivers, lakes or oceans. In aquatic ecosystem, phosphate can contribute to algal growth and eutrophication when present in excess. So phosphorus can trigger the eutrophication also. Next is geological uplift. The geological process, such as tectonic uplift or the movement of the tectonic plate, may bring phosphate rich sediment to the surface, where they may eventually become exposed as a new rock, and this process replenish the phosphorus into the terrestrial environment. Basically our environment is not capable of handling of huge amount of phosphorus, and a large amount of phosphorus are captured and captive in the rocks. But due to the movement of tectonic plates, sometimes a huge number of rocks are exposed, and what they do, they release a large amount of the phosphorus and it enters to the soil as well as the atmosphere, and here the ecosystem may hampered or disturbed, because our ecosystem is not capable, not equipped for handling such a huge amount of the eutrophication. And if this process takes place in near the aquatic environment, it will directly trigger the eutrophication, which will hamper the health of the water body. Next one is mining, where human activities such as mining can significantly affect the phosphorus cycle, because mining also doing the same thing. Here in the previous ones, in tectonic plates were exposing the huge amount of phosphorus. Here what is happening, human activity, what they are doing, they are digging, they are excavating the land or soil, and they are releasing the phosphorus, and same activity is doing over here. So ultimately geological uplift is a natural process of release of phosphorus, and mining is an artificial or man-made process by which they are releasing huge amount of the phosphorus, and ultimately our system, our ecosystem cannot tackle or rectify this particular huge influx of phosphorus. Ultimately mining extract phosphorus from the lithosphere, which can lead to nutrient runoff into water body, and it can create the eutrophication. Basically eutrophication is a kind of the nightmare to the any aquatic ecosystem, because excess of phosphorus, what it does, it triggers the uncontrolled growth of the algae, which is also known as the algal bloom. Scientifically it should called as the eutrophication. So what happens, algae controls or dominate whole ecosystem, and other animals may get suffocated or die. So this is also a problematic aspect of the phosphorus cycle. That is why sudden or outburst of phosphorus can trigger the eutrophication. Now human impact on phosphorus cycle. Various activities of human, such as use of fertilizers and artificial eutrophication because of the mining, it can create chaos or the chaotic conditions. The phosphorus fertilizers increase the level of phosphorus in the soil, and overuse of these fertilizers reduce the fertility of the soil and also the harmful for the microorganism present in the soil. So basically it can create a different type of multiple type of problems and ultimately eutrophication, which can cause the paralysis or seizing or the you can say disturbance of the ecosystem and may cause death of multiple higher animals. Now, why we need to conserve it? Basically, phosphorus cycle is crucial for maintaining the health and productivity of the ecosystem, and that is why that for the development of the living organisms, phosphorus must be present in the environment, but in a controlled limit, because excess can create problem. That's why we called it the limiting nutrients. Thank you.